You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Up, 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 don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. All right. We went live. 45 people, I think they're in. Let's see more. Maybe we'll join. I know in US it's quite early now, so probably we have most people are here from Europe. Well, welcome. Hi, Be the Moon. What's up? How are you?
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon to you, and good morning for US. And today is quite of a red market day. Some quite big changes, like announcements that were made, right? Tariffs. I just read. I didn't really deep dive.
We're getting slapped with 50% tariffs over in Europe.
Oof. Let's see what happens. I think it's turning like I think everybody's very tired of winning every time.
Yeah, probably.
These red markets. We have Ragnar joining us. Wait, I think, do we see him? I need to enable him. All right. Welcome, Ragnar.
Welcome.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you very, very well. Very well. Well, we were just commenting on the red market day, and somehow, like, we are a bit tired of winning, like 50% tariffs on Europe. The market, of course, is not reacting well. It seems this kind of poker game is continuing. Let's see where it leads us. Yeah. Are you having a nice afternoon?
Yes, so far so good.
Sounds good. Well, then let's kick it off. Today we have the first live space with the BTC Treasuries. We will talk about the blockchain group and what we believe is a very nice bull case. And we have quite some figures. We did quite some research. And hopefully we will share something valuable and raise some clarity around this company and what they're doing. Also, I will maybe take 2 minutes very quickly to just do an introduction about BTC Treasuries, because it's a community that is just very recent, like 2-3 weeks ago. And before even that, I would say, let me start with a bit of housekeeping. So I took this slide from Metaplanet Madness. So thank you a lot, Peter Duan. Oh, sorry for this. Oops, pardon me, some technical problem. I go back 1 second. So housekeeping. What we're going to talk about here is never, and even in the future sessions, like it's never going to be financial advice. Like I think we can all agree, Bidamoon, Ragnar, anybody that will come, the condition is here is like we are really passionate about this topic. We run our own research. We're really happy to share what we learn. It's like we might be wrong, we might get wrong, so we're always happy to learn also from you and from anybody. So we really encourage you like to go through this content and think about it as educational material, and then don't trust us. Like run your own research. Above all, if you're investing your own money, don't trust us. Trust your own research, and hopefully we can actually provide you some good insights that can guide you in that process. Please ask questions on the live chat. We will review them at the end. It's also my first time that I'm using this restream, so please be patient if with some technical integration and setup. I will do my best. And also please like and repost if you find this content valuable. There will be a recording that we will be sharing later in case you are not able to join live or you need to go at some point, so don't you worry about it. And I think we're ready to go to do a little very quick introduction about BTC Treasuries. So a month ago on a green or maybe red, I don't remember, market day, we were chatting and we started exchanging with Ragnar, Bidamoon, and Tanner in Paris. And we had this kind of this channel, like I think they were very valuable insights. And at some point we decided, okay, why don't we, like it's just too much to handle also for a small group of people. Like why don't we open a community and why don't we share these with others? Like things are getting like a bit crazy recently, like with all these new public companies. Right now we are at 109 public companies holding around 796 Bitcoin. As you can see from the graph, it has been accelerating a lot with 2025. And I mean, we can all see, and I think we could agree that it seems it's getting more and more every day. There are new companies every day, more purchases every day, many announcements of future purchases. So I think we will see definitely growth here, and I think it can be also kind of overwhelming to keep track of everything and to decide where to allocate. So our intention actually with this community that we created 2.5 weeks ago, and now we're already at 1,600 members, is actually to try to track things, to share what is valuable. We already have a lot of people sharing, and we find very valuable insights. People, I like a lot this comment here. Somebody sharing like that all they did to improve their performance in investment was just to follow some anonymous people online and key analysts on X. And I think, yeah, there is a lot of value in the crowd, and that's the main reason behind this community. Since there are all these different communities, in particular about different companies, like I think we lacked a bit of a space where we put everything together, and that was the main objective. Yeah, we already actually did a live. This was with one community, the ALTBG, the blockchain group, and it was very interesting. We had Adam Beck and Alexander Lezé and Valentin Kozanovic. It was very informative, and I think a lot of very valuable information were shared there. And we will for sure do this again, but we are also happy to leave space to other communities and talk about other public companies in the industry. Also, shout out to some members of the community. Here I think we have very valuable insights and people. Here there is a link for a 20 days free trial from MicroStrategy Pro. Since we are using some of his graphs, I think I wanted just to shout out, it's well deserved. Please take a look and use this link. And last but not least, we really love BTC Treasuries, and we are in all the communities, and we are active part of them. We invest in different companies. We believe in different companies. So this community is not meant to substitute any of these. So sometimes we post just to raise awareness in these communities, but rather this BTC Treasuries community is meant to collect and bring together different words that oftentimes maybe are in like separate in single and specific company communities. All right. Would you add something, guys? Like, I don't know, Bidamoon, Ragnar, anything you want to add about this?
No, nothing particular. There's a lot going on, and it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to digest, and it seems like every day the new treasury company is popping up. So we have a lot of research to do, and I think the community will grow fast because,
yeah. And nice to see you, Trollstein, and people. I'm very happy about people already commenting. And we were a bit joking with Ragnar and the others, like that's like we are a bit the Europe True North. Or at least, I mean, it's very hard to match the great work of MSTR True North, but we're really happy to try to provide value as well. And let's see how it goes. So yeah, don't tell Trump we're talking for sure. All right, let's go. So today's topic is the blockchain group, the bull case. We have heard a lot about this company. There is a lot that is going on. I think they're moving very fast. Also, a lot is happening beneath the behind the scenes, and that's why we want to raise a bit of awareness. Bidemoon and I did some work, read the files. We are going to talk about public information, like everything is out there, and we encourage you to do your own research, but hopefully we can connect some dots and make clear some things that are just available to those who actually dare and look into the documents. And connect the dots with also the interviews where Alexandre Lezé or Adam Beck and so on showed up and shared some valuable information. So we're going to do something. We're going to go a bit more in depth about these topics today. First of all, I want to start with some high-level introduction to the blockchain group, just for who doesn't know it, is new to the company and would like more information. Then we will get more in depth. We will talk about their main tools of financing, of raising capital, BTC denominated convertible bonds. We will take a look at expected incoming BTC acquisitions and so on, like some more juicy information. So let's start. So the blockchain group is a French company. It's the first European BTC Treasury public company. They don't just hold Bitcoin, so they're not just having it on the balance sheet, but they want to optimize and maximize BTC yield. So they are clearly following Saylor's playbook. They have a very clear mission that they stated out loud, like I'm taking here the words of Alexandre Lezé. We want to buy as much Bitcoin as possible, as fast as possible, in the most accretive way as possible. Their goal is very ambitious. Some people doubt about that because they say it's too ambitious given the current size. We will talk about that. I think we can exchange about that, whether it's really ambitious or possible or not. But they want to acquire 1% of all Bitcoin supply. And they know that if they do that, or even in partly do that, they have the chance at becoming the Europe largest publicly traded company with a market cap between 210 billions and 420 billions. I want to spend a word about this because, above all, for who's following from US, that Europe until yesterday, I would say, was not at the forefront of Bitcoin treasury acquisitions. But definitely the blockchain is setting new standards for the whole industry, not only in Europe, but also worldwide. And in an ecosystem, which is the European ecosystem, where most companies that are public companies are companies that were born in the last 100 years, rather than in the last 20, 30 years. A company that is adopting Bitcoin on the balance sheet is really standing out. In fact, they are the first company right now. I think that the fastest growing company in Europe, for sure in France this year. And we can compare here, for example, with other BTC treasuries and how it has been doing in the last year to date. And we can see that ALTBG had like plus 1,000% stock price increase. Now they own 847 Bitcoin with a BTC yield of 861%. And again, using like some very nice podcast episode from an interview from Tim Kotzman, Alexandre Lezé said like we were able to increase the amount of Bitcoin on the balance sheet by more than 14x, while the number of shares increased only 2x. This was before this data regards before like the acquisition of yesterday, but it's really impressive already. Yeah. Then very quickly, like they're backed by key strategic Bitcoin investors. We have Adam Back. I think it doesn't need any presentation. He possibly soon will account for around 16% of shares of the company. We have Tobam, which is the 2 billion French asset manager with Bitcoin exposure since 2017. UTXO Management, Bitcoin ecosystem fund behind like Kraken and Unchained and many other companies. Fulgur Ventures, the largest BTC native VC fund, and more very interesting players. So, and these investors are the main responsible, for example, are the main investors behind the BTC denominated convertible bonds. So, yeah, sorry, I'm getting a message. Okay. Yeah, so I think it looks already very bullish. But we will get more in detail also about these, about other bullish factors. Also, they have skin in the game, strategic location and tax efficiency. Why skin in the game? Because the executive team is actually involved. They own around 12% of the shares of the company, and they are willing to dilute themselves with any raise as any other shareholder. I think this is a very good message. They have skin in the game. It's a key to drive good behavior. They are located in the Bitcoin capital of Europe, which is Paris. There are many crypto, but Bitcoin companies, pure Bitcoin companies as well in Paris. And among the most famous, maybe we can mention Ledger, is from Paris. And the fact that Paris is particular for Bitcoin and for crypto is quite important because they are a bit more advanced with regulators and positions ALTBG in a key relationship with regulators as well, which is very important for the size of their operations. And last but not least, they are accessible for French investors through a tax wrapper that basically cuts capital gains on any exposure to Bitcoin. So they represent effectively a tax-efficient way for investors in France to expose themselves to Bitcoin. Well, last but not least, again, maybe. So they actually have a lot of financial instruments that they can use, and they're already using for BTC acquisition. So they already use private placements in equity. So they reach out to special investors, private investors, and they collect capital. They have BTC denominated convertible debt. We will definitely go more in depth into that because that's really interesting, and also that responsible for the future growth. They have stock acquisition rights. We're talking about warrants for any retail investors. If you joined if you joined in April as investor, you would have had probably right to use them. Unfortunately, I didn't personally. And then coming soon, they planned and they announced they want to do it, traditional convertible debt in fiat and public offering authorization. All right. Would you add anything? I'm talking a lot here. I would love to.
I would love to go in depth about Bitcoin denominated convertible debt and also the stock acquisition rights, the warrant, the BSA. But I think we get there in a short notice. Really fun. It's really genius how they put this together.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think most people yet don't understand it. And there is, so I think it's going to be very valuable, like when we go in depth into that. And we really understand why. I think that most companies will probably adopt these. Above all, start like smaller companies in terms of size. I think this is a very, let's say, competitive instrument to use.
Yeah, it took me a minute to click, but when I finally saw it, my eyes opened. I was thinking, why is not everybody doing this in the Bitcoin Treasury companies? Because it's just a genius play, the Bitcoin denominated convertible debt.
Absolutely. All right, then. Well, I just want to put this. Are you bullish enough already? If not, we hope that you will very soon, because now we are getting to the juicy part. Maybe I want to say something before. We are not, like, just to clarify, like, nor me, nor Be the Moon, nor Ragnar. Despite we talk a lot about the blockchain and we share a lot, we are not involved with them. We are not paid by them. We are just simple shareholders. We notice them. Actually, I noticed them like some weeks ago, and immediately was like, oh wow, I didn't know them. They seem quite successful and quite they're moving fast. And then I share with Be the Moon and Ragnar. We started exchanging, going deep, and they looked more and more interesting the deeper we were going. So we're doing just this because we got passionate, and I think they deserve to shine, and they deserve some attention. And yeah, let's get to the juicy part. So this is what everybody probably is looking at, right? Like, people are looking at their Bitcoin acquisition. They're saying, well, they are so new, they didn't acquire yet so many Bitcoin. Yeah, they acquired 620 Bitcoin, but what about next? Well, yesterday they acquired 227 Bitcoin more, but still, it's very few data points. And we don't believe that the bullishness of this case is behind these simple four steps. There is much more to say to these. And as I said before, with Be the Moon, we read the files, we read the announcements, and I encourage you to do the same, because the blockchain group publishes them. With every announcement, they publish the link to their website. They're public data. Just go there, read it, or just feed it to ChatGPT to read it for you. Then you can get a better picture of what might come in the future. And to do that, we did that, and now I created this graph. I think we stay a little on this graph because there is a lot of information packed here altogether. I like data viz. That's a bit my background, and I tried to do it here in a way that would allow us to identify kind of future potential as well. So let's take a second to look at it. What do we see here? So they started their Bitcoin acquisitions strategy in November 2024. They moved slowly up. We know that they acquired more Bitcoin on the 26th of March. And here we see the amount of Bitcoin they acquired over time, right? In blue, we see the capital that was effectively raised over time. And in red, we see the capital raising capacity. So what they like, as most companies do, they need first to approve how much capital to raise before going and getting it. So we know that in February, they raised their capital raising capacity to 300 millions, which stands high up here. Then they moved a bit later. You see there is some delay. They started to raise. They announced this the BTC convertible debt for around 48 million here. And then, as you can see, there is a delay between the announcement of the BTC convertible debt and actually the acquisition of, like, the announcement of the acquisition of the BTC. And indeed, the BTC 620 Bitcoin were placed in custody on this date, and then flat, right? We don't see anything, but there is a lot of work in these months that Alexandre Lézé and the team, I believe, they are doing. Indeed, we can start to see here that they started to raise a bit more capital. And we see also that until yesterday, there was a mismatch, a gap between the BTC acquired and the capital that was raised to acquire BTC. And that's why I was a bit, I was happy, but a bit sad as well that they announced it before our meeting, because we could have said, look, there is this gap, it's going to be filled. Well, we're not saying it in hindsight. We already saw it before, and we were already bullish, and we expected more BTC purchase. We need to say now there is still a gap here between the capital actually raised and the one used to acquire Bitcoin, around 8 to 9 million euros. But that's not all. So there is also a bigger gap between, like, the potential capital to be very soon raised. What is this potential capital raise? So it's capital that has not been announced to be raised yet, but can be. We believe it is likely to be subscribed soon. So we are talking about the tranche 2 of the BTC convertible bonds that investors like holder of the tranche 1 convertible bonds have the chance to actually subscribe the tranche 2 by the 6th of June. And we saw that the conditions were, since they were conditions set up in the past on previous price, the conditions are very good for these subscribers, potential subscribers. Indeed, this convertible bond is already deep in the money. So there is a very, very, very strong incentive for these subscribers or potential subscribers to actually subscribe. And now, I mean, we don't know. This is speculation, of course, but the incentives are in place. Yeah, so we will see if that happens. But if that happens, we believe we would see around a total around 1,500 Bitcoin coming in the next weeks. Maybe there will be a delay between the subscription of the tranche, if there will be more, and then the acquisition of Bitcoin or the announcement of the acquisition. But we will know for sure in the coming 2 weeks if tranche 1 subscribers will subscribe also tranche 2.
Yeah, in addition to that, Adam Beck and Tobam already used their part of the tranche 2. Tobam did it today. Adam Beck did it last week when they announced the 12.1 and the 1.5 million. So for the total, tranche 2 was 72.9 million. About 13.5 million now is already set in motion. And the other, what is it, 59 million, 59.4 is set to be in motion probably within the next 2 weeks. Because they're like what Enya said, they're like 4 times in the money at the moment. So there's no reason not to.
Yeah, I mean, I ignore if there are maybe there are reasons we ignore, but I don't see them. So of course we cannot. I mean, it looks very bullish because usually when there are incentives, right, they are followed. They follow through, and people act out of the incentives. So we will see. I mean, we have 2 weeks to see if we are right or wrong about this. But that's why we believe short term is very bullish. But guess what? The bullishness. I'm saying bullishness too many times, then people will call me out. But it's not finished yet because so as you remember, they announced 300 million capital raising capacity. I go back 1 second. So in case they announce the tranche 2, we are just here. There will be 157 million more of capital raising capacity, right? That they will probably, they definitely have the intention to go after. But that's not even it, because they already announced that on the 10th of June, they want to have a general meeting to approve and establish a capital raising capacity of 10 billion. So this graph puts everything in scale. So of course, this is like just announcements, but it's basically their plan, and their plan is very, very ambitious, and they are following through apparently. So we definitely need to observe them, and if they manage to deliver on a part of that, the growth that we will see with them will be outstanding. Yeah. So let's see. I think this looks very, very interesting, and I'm very excited about it. But yeah, let's get to some juice here. I will pass the word to Be the Moon so we can talk about one of their main instruments of driving this growth.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the introduction also, and the work so far, and putting the presentation together. It was really good.
Sure, thank you.
Bitcoin convertible bonds. This is like a game changer that a lot of people haven't noticed yet. Because for the people that have done the work in strategy, like I did, and I know Ragnar did, and Enya did, we are familiar with fiat convertible bonds. So you give us money, we pay you a yield or not in some cases, and you get the money back, or you convert to shares in the future. The problem with that kind of convertible bonds is that you have a loan to value that is about 20-30% of your Bitcoin's holdings. That's the maximum increase you can do. So to be still in a stable case for your company and balance sheet. So what they come up with the blockchain group is that to go from 40 Bitcoins on 1st of January to 620 Bitcoins, or 14x, without risking the balance sheet, they thought up a thing that's called Bitcoin Convertible Bonds. So instead of a fiat bond, the debt is not nominated in euros. So if we look at the tranche 1 and even the tranche 2, they can pay, the subscribers can pay in Bitcoin or euros, but the moment they pay, the price of the Bitcoin is set in euros and then converted to Bitcoin on the balance sheet. So the actual debt is Bitcoin. So in this case, there are 580 Bitcoins on the balance sheet in debt. And why is this a good thing? It scales the ability to infinite X the balance sheet, because it becomes a number of demand and supply. Who wants to give me the Bitcoin? For return, we give you shares in the future if you want. That's the convertible part, of course. But one Bitcoin remains one Bitcoin. So if it doesn't work out, they have to give back the Bitcoin. If it does work out, they give shares. That is the same as MicroStrategy does with the fiat bond. Only if we take, for instance, that Bitcoin goes from 100,000 to 50,000, but I got the convertible bond in fiat at 100,000 Bitcoin, and I converted all the money into Bitcoin, and I have to pay the fiat convertible bond back, I have to sell twice the Bitcoin to pay the convert back. In this case, you can just give back the Bitcoin, because the Bitcoin is the debt. The fiat part is not important. And that's really a game changer, because then they can lever up the balance sheets with everybody that has Bitcoin and has no real use case except for holding them. They can give them to the blockchain group. The blockchain group says, okay, this is the share price. We put a premium of 30, 40, 50, 60%. If it's reached within 3 years, you can convert to shares. If it isn't reached, you get your Bitcoin back. And after 3 years, the blockchain group can choose to convert the BTC convertible bond. So it's unlimited growth with no credit risk to the balance sheet of the blockchain group. It's insanely scalable.
Yeah, and thank you so much for the explanation. I think so I want to draw the attention to the incentives in place, because I feel the moment there are incentives, they are going to be used, and it's incredibly good for and safe for any investor. Imagine you have huge amount of Bitcoin, whether you're an institution or you are a private investor. And of course, you're exposed to the growth of Bitcoin, but then the problem you start to have is, what if I want to get exposure to leveraged Bitcoin, beat the performance of Bitcoin? What would you do if you don't have alternatives? You need to sell some of the Bitcoin and buy something that is leveraged. But in this case, the investors have it's a super safe deal where they just give the Bitcoin. If things don't turn out well, they get the Bitcoin back if the stock price doesn't increase. If the stock price increases, they exercise it. And so far, the stock price of the blockchain group has been increasing a lot, as we have seen the fastest growing company year to date. So the incentives are really big and there is a no-brainer in my opinion, for a big BTC holder to actually buy their convertible bonds denominated in Bitcoin. And last thing that I think is also really cool is, as you mentioned, Bidemoon, that the balance sheet is denominated in Bitcoin, which means you are pumping the assets but also the liabilities. And this means that your credit risk rating remains stable. You don't increase your risk rating. And this is also a big incentive for any other institution, I would say a risk-averse institution, to give money to a company that has high risk rating is much harder and harder to justify, even if you believe in the cause, even if you see the growth they're going to have. but still you need to be able to explain it and sell it to decision makers, right? But this is the credit risk, the credit rating being stable. That is also huge incentives to enable a risk-averse institution to actually provide money. So it's going to make things much easier while increasing the size of the balance sheet.
Yeah,
all right.
And something to add there, Enya. For the people familiar with MicroStrategy, convertible bonds, and even within GameStop did the 1.5 billion convertible bond, you saw that the institutions that buy the bonds are going to hedge. So they're going to delta hedge. So they short the company for 50, 60, 70% of the future stock price to make their delta about 0.5. In this case, when you do a BTC convertible bond, there is no delta hedging. There is no short interest extra on the stock price.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Also, that's a very, very good point. Yeah, so let's see. And I think this has the potential. It's the first company, right, using this tool. And I mean, once the others pay attention, they will definitely start to take notes and probably use it, because also it allows companies like that are smaller in size to have huge amount of debt. As Alexander Lezé said, like the amount raised is limited usually to approximately 20-30% of the Bitcoin fiat value on the balance sheet. So they could have never raised 620 Bitcoin once they had on the balance sheet 40 Bitcoin. They would have had to go through a much smaller, slower growth.
They had to go like 40 and then plus 12, plus 15, etc. And now I think in the future, Alexander is going to surprise us one day. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I think there's going to be like a wheel that has 1,000 Bitcoins laying somewhere on and let's hope it's not a ledger, but and thinks, okay, I can put this in the blockchain group, my 1,000 Bitcoins. They are collateralized, so I get them back if it doesn't work out. If it works out, I get more shares at a lower cost price because there is a premium now, but it's 5 years to get there. And I can probably buy back more Bitcoin if I do this at the end of the term than if I keep my Bitcoin. So there's going to be a day where we have 1,500 Bitcoin. And all of a sudden, there's 1,000 Bitcoin increase because somebody, a family office, an institution, a will, chose to put some on the balance sheet of the blockchain group for a Bitcoin convertible bond. Because we don't have to look at the leverage ratio in this case, because one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. At the end.
Yeah.
It's such a game changer.
Yeah, and why not to do it if you have so much Bitcoin? Like, why not to do it? You get risk-free exposure to a upside. It's like, I mean, it's like a call option where you get the money back if nothing happens, if you don't exercise. I don't know. It's great. Yeah, but shall we talk about the numbers? Because you deep dived on the numbers, and there are some very interesting numbers behind the growth that we are seeing, potentially also short-term growth in the next few weeks in terms of Bitcoin acquisition. Here I copied your wonderful numbers and
Excel spreadsheet. Yeah, the numbers are slightly different now, but they change all the days, so that's not a problem. The things I noticed was when I went through all the documents and financial statements was that tranche 2 was not talked about. And the moment that the 20-day moving average was above 90 cents for more than 12 consistent days, they could convert within 3 months. So that was an additional 27 million of euros that would be converted to Bitcoin to the balance sheet. And it's like a no-brainer to do so because they're 4 or 5 times in the money. So on the left side, we see just the stock price of Bitcoin at the moment. We see the stockpile today, 847. We can calculate the mNAV. It was 8.17 when the euro price was 3.15. And right now we're above 7-ish, I think. What's the stock price at the moment? It's 2.73. So we're about 7.5. But if we calculate the 8.6 raised last Tuesday, then 59.4 tranche 2 was still open, and the possible 8 million of BSA warrants that are open, but they have until 10 of April 2026. we can calculate that anywhere between 1,500 and 1,600 Bitcoins will be reached within a week or two, say 3. To get there, we have some dilution, of course, because there has to be some stocks that are in this convertible debt. But it's highly accretive. So just keeping the NAV the same and just increasing the BTC stockpile, the stock price should go anywhere from around €4 would be a normal stock price. If you believe the past and if you look at months to cover mNAV, but I think we discussed that in a little moment. But the crazy bullishness coming, doubling of the BTC holdings within 3 weeks, if you ask me.
And let's clarify for the people who just joined. So here we are looking at. So this was on our list. We wrote the presentation yesterday, and then they announced yesterday that actually this capital that was already raised now was used to buy Bitcoin. Still, they have 8.6 million that were raised in private placements, but they were not yet used to buy Bitcoin, or at least not announced yet, of course. And then we have these, what does it mean, 59.4 million possible tranche to Bitcoin convertible bond? Like, shall we give a refresher for the ones who just joined?
Yeah. So in the tranche 2, there was a total of 72 million possible acquisition rights. It's 1.5 times the acquisition of tranche 1. And the people that subscribe to that one, to tranche 1, had 3 months to subscribe to tranche 2, if the price was above the price I mentioned earlier. So of this 72 million, about 13.6 is already agreed on. So that's the 12 million of Adam Beck and the 1.5 million of Dobal. And the 59.4 million is set to be agreed on. It's not 100% certainty, but since it's 4 times is in the money, it's like 99.99% if you ask me. And keep in mind, the people that can subscribe are also the early adopters and the people that went on board with the Bitcoin Treasury Company, the blockchain group. So they're speaking in podcasts with them, they're sitting on stages, they're celebrating with them, they're Adam Beck talking with everybody. For me, it's a no-brainer that this is gonna happen. So
if you hear, there is this very nice interview from Tim Kotzman, where Alexandre Dezay is sitting there with basically the various investors, and I don't know, it's really amazing to hear them talk because they are really bullish. You can really hear that they believe in the company. So I would say that, I mean, I wouldn't understand why they wouldn't subscribe if they're already deep in the money and they believe in the company. But we still have 2 weeks to go to see if they do any announcements. And something very interesting and very cool that I want to mention is we mentioned only what this is a very short-term possible increase of capital where we see very strong incentive. But as we saw before, their capital raising capacity that they set in February is 300 million, and there are still 150 million to go to reach that capacity. And they're already thinking about setting the capacity to 10 billion in June, which makes me think we will in short term, in the next weeks or very shortly, I don't know, any time, we might hear about new announcements of capital raised. So I'm very curious to see what happens. I think it looks very interesting. I think I'm ready to be surprised anytime, and we will see.
It makes a lot of sense for them to do the capital increasement to 10 billion because if you look at their numbers, they progressed. They put out that they want to reach the 10 billion should be out of money within 5 years. But when these convertible bonds went so fast in the money, I think there will be a lot of people inflowing to do the same with their Bitcoin. So I wouldn't be surprised if after 6 June, this 59.4 million is getting converted or a little used. And then back to back, we get a new one with who knows what number.
Yeah, to be followed closely. And the cool thing and the interesting thing is, in my opinion, represents a bit of an edge is that they are not there. I think Alexandre Dezay has a very small team, and you can hear them they're really busy working. So I think they're not as present as Sailor or Metaplanet that has been present in podcasts for a very long time and so on. So they promised, they announced they will do more. And it will be very interesting. I think already the interviews that are around are very interesting, and like they have a lot, they share a lot in there. But I think now the word is not paying attention. So I think that's very also that's a plus, and we will see where this goes, right? This at the moment
we're very early at the moment, and not a lot of people did a deep dive on this blockchain group, and it's so bullish for me. Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about. So we saw the stock growing, and the question that everybody, included us, were asking were like, okay, but how stretched are we? There are some more calculations. Please, Be the Moon, guide us through that.
A lot of people before Adam Beck made the comments were just checking mNAV, and if Strategy had an mNAV of 2 and Metaplanet had 8 and the blockchain group had 4 or 6 or whatever, they try to compare that, but you cannot really compare a mNAV because mNAV itself doesn't say that much. It only says the premium you pay based on the bitcoins they held on the balance sheet. So a better way to look at mNAV is the mNAV to cover of the months to cover mNAV. So that's what Adam Beck discussed. And what it says is if you pay a premium, so right now the mNAV of the blockchain group is 7, but in this example it's 8. With what BTC yield, if you know the BTC yield, how long does it take before the premium is back in your pocket? So if you pay a premium of 8, let's keep it simple. If you pay a premium of 5, that means that if you put in dollar or euro value 1 Bitcoin in, you get an intrinsic value of 0.2 if the mNAV is 5. And how long does it take before your 0.2 intrinsic value of the Bitcoin goes back to 1? That's the months to cover mNAV. Now, in this case, ALTBG, the blockchain group, has a months to cover of 3.7 months currently because the BTC yield is insanely high, 863%. If we include the possible purchase in the next 3-4 weeks, and that's the 8.6 million already in their bank, plus the possible tranche 2, 54 million, and we add an extra month, we keep the months to cover mNAV about the same, still 3.8. So in the current pace, they're not slowing down. They're just in the same space and same pace as they were before, with this crazy bullish with a high mNAV. So I really like how fast they're going, and I think this is incredible performance from them.
Yeah, and I think you made a very good point. So like I still read around X many posts talking about, okay, this company has low mNAV, so I'm very bullish in it, I am buying now and so on. I think, I mean, maybe what a lot of people are not yet realizing what is happening, because the industry is moving so fast, is that we just entered the era of mNAV relativity. Before it was only strategy, and so everything was kind of that's the only benchmark we have. So we looked at it, we had 2 mNAV and like so much talking around it. Also the capital structure of strategy, which is different from the capital structure, for example, of Metaplanet or ALTBG. And so eventually the NAV multiplier, the NAV multiple is, I think it's just represents the trust that investors put in the future execution of the company in acquiring Bitcoin in a creative way. And it varies. It can vary. The moment the company loss maybe is not eloquent enough, it doesn't share enough, or it fails at executing. So it could be that a picture of any company looks very bullish and like they're going to execute. They look like they're going to execute and acquire a lot of Bitcoin in a creative way, but then they might fail and their mNAV might drop. But indeed, like comparing companies and trying to find opportunities in which company to invest just driven by mNAV comparison, I think it's not gonna bring any like better results. Indeed, this metric is the months to cover or the days to cover. It was a very great suggestion from Adam Beck. So I invite you to keep track of it, understand it, even challenge it if you think there is something to add. But so far, I think it's the best metric we've got to track evolution of performance of the company over time.
Yeah, and even if you just got in the day before yesterday, then the sets per share were 333. And if they do the second tranche and the 8.6 million, we increase the sets per share to 400, almost 500, 495. Yeah. That's a BTC yield quarter to date, so just this quarter, Q2, of almost 50%.
Yeah.
You get 50% more BTC than you had 2 days ago. In probably a month.
Yeah, maybe one thing to warn people who are listening. Because we have noticed, I showed a graph before where there is a delay between the announcement of a BTC denominated convertible bond, the capital raised, and the BTC actually acquired, announcement of the BTC being acquired. I noticed these just before the call, so I really didn't investigate deep. So I think what we are speculating about, what we believe the incentives are in place for, is that in the next few weeks they will likely announce the BTC tranche, BTC denominated convertible bond tranche 2, but then probably it will take still some time until they will announce the Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Just to warn you, because we have noticed this. So I think that's unlikely, but I don't think it impacts. I don't know the terms, but I would believe noticing the details of all the other terms, it's always very accretive and is always very well timed. And usually these delays are kind of procedural delays. But definitely we should investigate more on it and clarify how exactly it works, why there was, for example, a few weeks delay between the announcements of the BTC convertible bond and the Bitcoin on the balance sheet.
Yeah, I agree, but you can divide them in two things. So the first one was the announcement of the convertible bond on 6th of March and the execution of 26th of March. But that was the first convertible bond. But for tranche 2, you had Adam Beck on 12th of May saying, I want to use tranche 2 for 12 million. Yeah. And 10 days later, it's executed. So it does look like the time period is shorter once everything is already in paper. Yeah. But it's not as fast as using the ATM in America or that kind of stuff, of course.
Yeah. All right. And what's next? Oh, yeah, this one. So we heard quite some FUD on private placements. So people looking at the announcements from yesterday, but also other announcements saying, oh, the blockchain group is selling a lot of shares at a massive discount. They're not acting very intelligently. Come on, this is obvious. And I think this is a big misunderstanding. To
go in detail about this, the blockchain group cannot do ATM like Michael Saylor can. So there is no possibility in Europe to sell your own shares at a brokerage house directly in the market. So how they do the capital increase? They do a private placement. That's big institutions, family offices, that kind of stuff, that say, let me do 1 million of stock. And then they do the write-up, they do the market placement. So that day probably is the day agreed upon price. But before the money is transferred and the conversion to Bitcoin is done, it looks like 5 to 7 days. So when the price was 128, when it's agreed upon, 2 days later the price was 240, and when this came out, the price was €3 something. So it could have gone both ways, because the price is agreed upon market conditions and not with a premium, but also not with a discount. It's just like an ATM, but there's a time delay of several days before announcement due to all the regulations we have here in Europe.
Yeah. lovely European regulations speeding things up. Yeah, but this is to tell you not to be concerned about that. It's not a lack of intelligent action, rather just like administrative process delay. So, and also it's just an announcement delay. They could announce, like, if they would announce the moment it happens, nobody like would bother even commenting, right? And this can, like, the fact that it's announced just 1 week later, nothing has changed in the process. It's still very accretive indeed. Like this last capital raise was per se just 11% Bitcoin. It had a 11% Bitcoin yield alone by itself, so very accretive. So this is to say, like, actually also it can go the other way around, right? If the price goes down, then it will look on paper, oh wow, what a wonderful job, but that's not even the case. The conditions were set, the conversion price was agreed on the current price of the deal, so nothing to, let's say, talk about there.
Exactly. There is also no premium, because why would anybody do a private placement if they can buy the stock at the brokerage for a price that is less than they can do in a private placement? So it's just market conditions.
Yeah.
People that don't want to move the market, or they want to contribute to the blockchain group by purchasing the shares directly instead of on the broker, so they can buy Bitcoin with it. That's all it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we are done, and maybe I put this nice slide at the end. I wanted to thank the 2,000 and now 20 people who connected to listen to these. There's going to be a recording, so I'm going to share it as soon as I have it, so you can listen to it more times. I think there are quite some interesting graphs. We will also do some thread probably about some of these things that we shared. I also want to leave a word of, like, kind of always caution, like, don't trust, verify, like don't trust. As I said, as I open, like, I don't want to. I feel like I want to avoid responsibility. I don't want people to like just take our word. Like, I want to invite everybody to do their own research. I think we deep dived into these documents that are public. They are there, and I think there is a lot of value. And I think this live space was just a way to show, look, you can see already the future plan and what might come next if you just look in the right place.
Yeah.
So now I think the big bet for us, the big bet for us is, like, okay, let's see what happens in the next 2 weeks with this tranche 2 subscription. Are we gonna be right or not? I bet by purchasing the shares that that we are right, and also what will come next with this capital raising increase, capital raising capacity increase, and so on. Yeah, and thank you, Be the Moon. That was fun. We should do that again.
Thank you too.
And maybe we ask if there are any questions you can ask in the live chat. If there are not, we can even close it here. And but feel free always to comment, like and reshare if you like it, and ask questions. We're always available and happy to engage and answer. Maybe there are things that we need to research further, and we are happy to do so.
Yeah, and also if you have questions in the near future, then just comment on one of our X profiles. We talk a lot about this subject, also other treasury companies, but for me, it's mostly the blockchain group at the moment. So if you have questions, just contact me and I will answer them if I see them.
Yeah, I'm having also others. I'm curious about what's gonna come in next with GameStop. Many don't believe anymore. I'm still invested. I'm believing. I'm a believer. And also MetaPlanet, MSTR. I think we have some nice time ahead. Let's see. Looks promising. Oh, we have a question. So can you explain a bit more on the public offering? Bidemun, you know a bit more. I'm not too deep into the public offering.
It's also the one I'm least familiar to, but normally a public offering is like a private offering, only you tell the market you want X amounts of money and people can subscribe on a certain price. So it's not a convertible bond, it's like a public, do you want to buy our shares for this market price at this day? You have until 3 days later or something. And then the public, like institutions, pension funds, and other people can subscribe, and then they get the shares for that conversion price. I think that's what's meant with public offering. But it's the last thing they're going to use. At least that's how I understood Alexander. So the fiat convertible bond and the public offering is not just in place, and they're really focusing on the BTC convertible debt and maybe the private placements. And one thing to add, the BSA, the warrants, we just touched on it, the 8 million that is done on 10th of April. For the 10 June meeting, where they vote for the 10 billion increasement of capital possibility, I also saw that they're gonna vote for an extra free share possibility. So another BSA for current holders maybe. So if you're a stockholder now, there is a possibility you get some subscription warrants, the BSA. You get them for free. It's like a call option. The last one was at 45 cents. You have to, you get one BSA for every stock, and you have to put in 7 BSAs plus 45 cents to get one stock. But seeing the prices at 5x, 6x that, it's very lucrative for common stockholders to do so. And it looks like they're going to vote again for one more round of this BSA warrant system. So that's nice.
Nice. And sorry, I'm not, I didn't investigate exactly how it works. So you just mentioned it. So like you are assigned, just if you're a shareholder, you are assigned.
If you have 2,000 shares, you get 2,000 BSA, and you have to put in 7 for each stock and pay 45 cents. That was the last one. So it was a 30% premium above the current rate with a 1-year notice. So it's like a free call option. You only have to pay the strike price, and you have 1 year to do so.
Nice, very nice. Somebody's saying it's 54 cents.
I don't know what I said, but that's what I meant.
Yeah. Great. So I think there is a lot lined up. Let's see what comes next. Very exciting. And thank you all. Thank you, Be the Moon, and have a lovely day.
See you next time.